So Aaron, just let me know when you're ready, when you have everybody in.
Looks like we have everyone. As people join, I will just add them. Let's start with attendance. Dee Dee Rudolph.
Here.
Suzanne Spellin.
Here.
Barbara Higbee.
Here.
Sarah Wengert. Okay, Sarah is absent. Anthony Moen. Anthony Moen is absent. Okay, Dee Dee, would you like to wait a few minutes, or would you like to get going? If we do proceed, we do have a quorum, so we can proceed, but if we do proceed, any decisions would have to be unanimous.
I think we can continue. I think we can begin. What do you think? What do the other members think?
I think it's fine. This is Barb. I think it's fine to continue.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, so let's start. Tonight we have 11 cases on our agenda. We'll begin with old business. Aaron, could you please introduce the agenda item PC 2020-16?
Yes, Dee Dee. I believe Sarah might have just joined us. Sarah Wenger, are you present?
I have joined, yes.
Okay, so that's for Sarah, just so you're aware, I believe Anthony is absent at the moment. All right.
Understood, thank you.
Yes, so the first item on the agenda is PC 2020-16. This is a lot line adjustment at 12 Industrial Park Road and 16 Industrial Park Road. Chair, the city staff has reviewed this project and we have no comments at this time. I suppose that would be a recommendation that the commission act this evening on this proposal. Also, sorry to interrupt again. Anthony, I believe Anthony might have just joined us. Anthony, are you there?
Anthony, are you there?
I can see Anthony.
I can see him, I just can't hear him. Let's wait to see how long for him to connect. All right, so do we have the applicant or a representative of the applicant here tonight to discuss this project? So no. This application was on the agenda last month and it was tabled and brought over this month. I'll ask if any of the commissioners have any questions or comments at this time.
This is Sarah Wengert. I had hoped to better understand the intent of this project, the purpose of the lot line adjustment. In the absence of the applicant or a representative of the project, clearly that curiosity will not be satisfied. I don't know if it's proper or appropriate to request any city staff to clarify that for me so I better understand the intent. If not, I would be interested in finding out what that intent is in the future.
Sure. I mean, I could, Sarah, I could shed a little light on this. The proposal is to shift the, I believe it's the western boundary of the site, a portion, I'm sorry, the southern boundary of the site, a portion of the southern boundary of the site. This is the site that is the existing meat packing plant. I don't know if you recall having seen that proposal for their expansion a few months, perhaps it
I
might have been a
do.
few years ago at this point.
I do, Aaron, and I will share that I went to the site with the project documentation and was quite frankly not able to figure out what was trying to be accomplished.
Okay, so it's my understanding that this adjustment will simply acquire less than 2,000 square feet of the neighboring parcel. And I believe that's simply to facilitate the maintenance of that area. The neighboring lot does not have any vehicular access to that area. This would also allow for vehicular access for 12, I believe it's 12 industrial to access the side of that building. I think it's my understanding that that was being accomplished by an easement, and now that's going to be accomplished by right.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
I will say that if the commission did want to act this evening, we would suggest the stipulation be placed on this that a map, an updated map be submitted with the city subdivision approval stamp affixed to it, along with a seal and signature of a licensed land surveyor.
And the only thing I would add to that is that it also be filed with Rensselaer County. So is there any other public comment or any other questions regarding this application? If not, I'll ask if there is a motion.
This is Suzanne. I move that we approve this action with the stipulation that they submit an updated map with the proper seals and signatures.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Sarah Wengert. I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just for the record, if I could read off names, Suzanne Spellin,
Aye.
Sarah Wengert,
Aye.
Anthony Moen,
Aye.
Barbara Higbee,
Aye.
Dee Dee Rudolph.
Aye.
And if I may, Aaron, can I just add to the record that this was a type 2 action under seeker, so no seeker action was required.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, motion approved. Moving on to our second item this evening, PL 2020-77. Aaron, again, could you please introduce this project?
Yes, I could. This is this proposal was previously approved, I believe it was back in 2018 by the commission. However, the applicant failed to acquire a building permit for the proposal, and therefore the approval lapsed. So the applicant is in front of the commission this evening to seek a renewed approval. I believe they're also looking to append an extension to that approval. And this is a proposal at 171 Hill Street. This was an expansion of an existing veterans home facility. At one time, this was the old Bizarro Funeral Home, and the current owner is the applicant this evening.
And if
Okay,
I may, board members, just remind you that, as I've previously advised in the past, for these extension requests, the proper analysis is whether or not there have been any substantial changes to the neighborhood or vicinity of the project, and whether or not there have been any changes to the project itself. If the applicant demonstrates that the answer is no to both of those questions, then you're constrained to approve the extension.
Thank you. So is the applicant here tonight?
Yes, I am. Hi, I'm Mike Chaffee. Me and my wife are the owners of the Veteran Community Center. And if I may add, there is no changes. We were just waiting. The Veterans Administration was going to allocate funding, in which they ran out. So they left me basically on a wire. And now we do have funding to put forward for this project. It took a while, but we're going to do it out of our own pockets. So it's important that we get this done. We've been losing a tremendous amount of money in the last 2 years. Veterans want their space, and especially times like this. So we actually, we want to put it's basically a restroom, so they have their own privacy, and it's community living right now, but we would like to give them their own privacy with their own bath. So basically that's what we're trying to get done right now.
Does anybody from the public have any comments? No? Commissioners, do you have any comments, questions?
This is Sarah Wingert. I do have a question. I would like to confirm the scope of the project. When we look at the project documentation, there is a uniquely shaped addition proposed on the exterior of the building, which includes a series of bedrooms and bathrooms. I want to understand explicitly that that is or is not part of this proposal this evening.
That is part of the proposal. Reason being, as I just explained, that's adding a bathroom to each and every apartment.
Okay, you said a bathroom to a community center. That's why I want to fully understand the scope of the project. It's a significant addition with bedrooms and bathrooms. Yes?
Yes, yes.
And I turn to Aaron Vera. Would you be able to confirm that this entire scope was indeed approved by the Planning Commission at an earlier date?
Yes, Sarah, it's my understanding that this was approved by the commission back in 2018. We were not submitted new documentation this time around. This is the documentation that we had on file. Andy, I don't know if you can shed any more light on this. This isn't technically an extension. This is a new approval. Is that your understanding, the guidance that you provided earlier?
Well, no, they're seeking an extension of the approval, and they're seeking it outside of the time frame in which they needed to require it. So it could be viewed as a reaffirmation of the previous approval or a retroactive approval of the extension. Either way, the key elements are whether or not there's been any substantial changes to the vicinity, to the neighborhood and community, or whether or not there's been any substantial changes to the site plan as shown when it was originally approved. If it's the same site plan from 2018, then there would be no substantial changes to the site plan.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners? All right, I'll ask if there is a motion tonight.
This is Barbara. I move that we approve this extension since it is the same as it was in the beginning when we did approve it before, and there does not seem to be a change in the neighborhood.
This is Anthony. I second.
All in favor? Or Aaron, you want to do a roll call, a vote? Sorry.
Yes, I'd like to. Suzanne Spellin?
Yes.
Sarah Wengert?
No.
Anthony Moen?
Yes.
Barbara Higbee?
Yes,
Dee Dee Rudolph? I'm sorry, Dee Dee, I didn't hear your
Oh,
vote.
sorry. Aye.
That's 4 in favor, 1 against. The motion passes.
All right, under old business, our last case of old business will be PLZB 2019-95. Aaron, if you would like to introduce this one.
Yes, that project was listed under the consent agenda, but as one of the commissioners has a potential conflict, we will hear that under old business this evening. Sarah, I'm going to ask that you go to the lobby for this.
Understood.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a proposal to construct an 84-unit apartment building at 244-246 First Street. This project has been through extensive city review and in fact received both seeker and site plan approval previously. And they are here for an approval, well, a renewed approval or an extension. I do believe the applicant is present as well, Chairwoman.
Do you have anything else to add? An update for us?
I don't. I believe the commission could certainly act on this extension this evening.
So the applicant, could you just provide us with an update of your schedule since you were behind schedule, where you are with this project at the time?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Jesse Batis. I am the Senior Project Manager for Community Builders for this development. This development is seeking some financing through public sources, which does take some time. And with COVID in particular, that did put us behind schedule a bit. Our intention is still to close this project at the end of the year and start construction early next year.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to comment on this application?
Hi, my name is Paul Donnelly. I'm just confirming that this is the meeting for the community builders.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I just have questions. I am the owner of adjacent property located at 238, 240, and 242 First Street. And I understand the applicant is looking for no egress, and I wonder how that affects my property.
I'm sorry, can you provide your comment again? I'm not sure I understood.
Sure. I'll say everything over again. My name is Paul Donnelly. I own the properties adjacent to yours, being 238, 240, and 242 First Street, the corner of First and Jefferson. And your application for no egress, how does that affect property lines to me?
Sure. I'm not. The project does have egress. There's a parking garage which has exit points, as well as emergency stairwells and entry points into the lobby.
Okay, I'm not quite as concerned about that. What is the proximity to my properties that you're looking for the forgiveness of egress?
I will turn that to Kelsey Carr at Chase & Companies, who is our civil engineer, who
Sure.
I think can provide more detail on the technical side.
Thank you much.
Yeah, I guess I'm also not quite sure what you mean by no egress. We have a vegetated buffer adjacent on all sides to your properties.
Okay, and that vegetative buffer is how wide? Is it the 10 feet as normal for normal egress in the city of Troy?
It is there. It's more than 20 feet in most scenarios, except for, with the exception of the dumpster enclosure, which has, I believe, 5-foot separation, but there will be a new fence along that backside, as well as
Okay.
a vegetated screening around the dumpster enclosure.
So exactly where's the dumpster enclosure? Is it, now, if you can visualize this, is it on the south side of my properties or on the east side of my properties?
South side.
South side. Okay, so it would abut brick, and how, that is what, 5 feet away?
Yes.
And so that is for all trash from
Yes.
84 apartments, is that correct?
Yes, it will have 4 smaller dumpster, 4 smaller rolling dumpsters within that.
Rolling dumpsters, right. So what's your idea with addressing the potential for animals, for smell, for sight? How high will the fence be, et cetera?
The fence will be 6 feet high. It will be fully enclosed with a lockable gate in the front.
And the fence is to be made of what materials?
It's chain link with vinyl slats.
Chain link with vinyl slats. Okay, I understand that. And then let's go to the east side. You'll maintain a 20-foot egress, is that correct?
On the east side, it will actually be, that entire area is proposed to stay.
Sorry to interject, but can we settle on, when the word egress is being used, can you clarify what it is you mean by egress?
Space from my property line to yours.
Okay.
Or my property line to your use. To your use, I'm sorry. To your use.
You typically refer to that as buffer. Egress typically
Buffer, I'm
means
sorry.
a way out. So
I'm sorry. Pardon me.
that's the
Pardon
confusion
me.
I think that we had
Sure.
initially here.
Pardon me. So buffer, what is the distance of the buffer from my property line on the east side to whatever it is you're doing?
So that area on the east side is actually proposed to stay as green space.
Proposed to stay as what? I'm sorry?
It will be green space there's actually the potential where we will actually have community garden boxes.
That's cool.
So the But that area has also been designated for banked parking spaces in the event
Yeah.
that it is determined if additional parking is required.
Okay, and would that eliminate that buffer and
It-
have cars parked right up against the fence in front of our properties?
There would still be a 5-foot minimum buffer.
A 5-foot minimum buffer. And what about a fence line? Would you propose the same chain link with slats or something else?
It would be chain link with slats.
Chain link with slats. And again, 6 foot?
Yes.
Okay. And do you in your vision foresee the need for that parking? Because to be quite honest, since they put the walk path or bike path on the west side of First Street, opposing my properties, there is no longer parking there. There was never a parking issue until they did that. So parking is a little rough down there now, as it is.
Yeah, we do not anticipate the need for that parking. We have a lot of experience with similar developments of this type. And what we typically see is a usage of around 1 parking space per unit. And we actually have more than 1 space per unit being provided within the current exterior and parking garage spaces.
Yeah, what are you guys at, 1.5
Yeah,
or no?
I think
1.5?
not quite 1.5, but we have we have 96 spaces for 81 units.
For 81 units, not 84. Okay.
Correct.
My
All right.
last thing, this is
I'd
just
like
a
to
comment,
interject.
and I'm happy with what you've said so far.
I'm sorry, I'd like to interject. I should have probably stated earlier, we're trying to limit public comment to 3 minutes per
Yeah, sure.
participant.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Thank you very much.
Yep, no problem. Last is, don't know if you guys are all aware, but there's lateral sewer lines that come out of each of the properties known as 238, 240, and 242 First Street. Those lines run to what I guess used to be an alley a million years ago. And that alley would be located in between First and Second on Jefferson, whatever that alley is called, if it even has a name. Do you have any clue of what that's going on, what's happening with that, and how it might affect my tenants who have been there for decades?
The survey that has been prepared does not show laterals on our property.
They're there. I can attest to you they're there. I don't mean to be crass, but I believe your survey may be a little inaccurate or maybe not updated.
This is the city engineer. We've reviewed this project. Department of Public Utilities has reviewed this project, and there were no conflicts that were identified at that time with this proposal.
Okay. So the city will cover everything should a sewer line be ruptured or something happen to disturb the livability of 238, 240, and 242 residents.
That's not precisely what I said. What I said was the investigation was done, and we believe that this proposal is adequate at this time.
Okay. As the city engineer, should you be incorrect in your assessment, what is my recourse?
This is Jesse Bates from Community Builders. We typically, when we do developments like this, on occasion we do run into things that aren't shown on the survey. Generally speaking, as a developer, we take on that responsibility. If we break it, we bought it. So we work with you and figure out whatever
that's fine. That's all I had to hear was you break it, you bought it. I'm cool. That's it.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to provide any brief comment? Any commissioners that have any questions, comments tonight? No? I'll ask for a motion. Is there a motion?
This is Suzanne. I move that what are we doing here? The extension be renewed for this project.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Barbara. Any discussion? Aaron, would you like to take a vote?
Yes, just a reminder that Sarah Wenger had recused herself from this proposal. Suzanne Spellin,
Yes,
Anthony Moen,
Yes.
Barbara Higbee,
Yes,
Dee Dee Rudolph.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Can we bring Sarah back in from the lobby?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next items on the agenda are consent agenda, new business. There are 6 items on the consent agenda for consideration tonight. Erin, could you please introduce those 6 items?
I will. I'll try to be as brief as possible here. The first item is PLZB 2018-01. This is a project at the United Armenian Cavalry Congregational Church. This was a proposal to convert the existing church into 8 apartments. This has previously been approved, and they are seeking an extension, much like the last 2 cases that were just heard. That's followed by PLZB 2019-71. This is a project sponsored by Tripp and Unity House at a number of addresses throughout the city. This is being referred to as the Hillside Views Neighborhood Revitalization Project. This project also has been extensively reviewed by city staff and had been previously approved. And seeker, I believe, was also approved on that project. That's followed by PC 2020-24, which is a change of use at 515 First Street. That's to convert a single-family home into a 2-family apartment. That property is in an R3 district, so that is an allowed conversion. Next is PL 2020-25. That's a change of use at 78 4th Street. It's to convert a retail storefront into a restaurant, followed by PL 2020-28, change of use at 600 2nd Avenue to convert a bank into office space. And last is PL 2020-29. That is a subdivision at 327 6th Avenue. I'm sorry, 3027 6th Avenue.
Okay, so as a consent agenda, the board can approve, can make a motion for all these applications. Is there a motion?
Dee Dee, this is Sarah Wenger, and I would like to ask a question about that first item, 2018-01.
Okay, great.
I'd like to know if when approval was issued, were there any contingencies applied to the site plan? Do we have the ability to look at the documentation from that approval? And if not, I would like to apply some contingencies to the reapproval or extension. Shall I identify those?
I would have to defer to Andy to know if contingencies can be applied during an extension process.
And I think the answer depends on what you're proposing, Sarah. If they're in response to a a change in the neighborhood or surrounding vicinity or the project itself, and their proposals to ameliorate those changes in order to grant the extension, that would be fine. I'm not sure what it is that you're looking to place on the extension approval.
May I just come forth and identify my concerns?
Can I make a suggestion that we remove that from the consent agenda and put that next after, so that we can get through the consent agenda first? So pull,
I would say that's,
have the first item under new business. Does that make sense?
this is Barb. Yes, I think it's best to just pull it from the consent for now.
I agree.
So Andy, does that require a motion, or do we I just move it into new business?
You can,
Regular.
as chairperson, you can move it into new business, and then we can act upon the consent agenda as it remains.
All right, I recommend that. Is there a motion?
I move that we pull that from the consent agenda. Or are we moving to accept the other 5?
Can I say something?
The
Yes.
motion, it's been pulled and placed onto the new business, so the motion would be to approve the consent agenda as it remains.
Before I misunderstand what's going on, can I speak?
Yes, if you could please clearly state your full name and address, and then limit your comments to 3 minutes. Terrific. Thank
My
you.
name is Christine Rem, and I own the property at 515 First Street in Troy. My home of address is in Clifton Park, but what is written here on your agenda is not what I had requested. And I sent an email. I sent a couple emails out yesterday, and they told me we'd be able to talk about it tonight. I had sent in a request for what they had told me would possibly be a relook or a reapproval of an approval that I got back in 2013. And I enclosed 11 packets that I handed in. I don't know if you have them, along with the brochure explaining what this project is. It is not to convert to 2-family apartments. I don't know where that came from. What I'm trying to do is open a supportive community residence for women veterans at that location. So I want to make sure that if you're going to vote on something, that I'm in the right part of the agenda, because what is written down is not what I had requested.
Barbara, I guess this should also be pulled from the consent agenda. Okay, which means that we'll vote on the other 4, and then we will decide what we're doing about the 2.
Okay.
All right, so do I have a revised motion? A new motion?
This is Barb. I move that we approve the remaining 4 items on the consent agenda. So we've removed the 9th Street project and the 515 First Street. So I move approval of the other 4.
I second that.
All right, Aaron, want to take a vote?
Yes, Chairwoman. I'm sorry, who was the second on that? Was that Suzanne? Was that you?
Suzanne.
Okay, thank you. Suzanne,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dee Dee.
Yes.
5-0, the consent agenda has been approved.
Okay, so shall we, now under new business regular agenda, let's discuss what we started to talk about, PLZB 2018 1. Sarah, you had some issues. Is the applicant here for that project?
Yes, the applicant's representatives are. This is Luigi Palesci with ABD Engineers.
Thank you, Dee Dee. This is Sarah Wenger, and I make the following 3 observations based on the site plan and the photo documentation of the site. I would advocate that the chain link fence be removed from the project, the existing chain link fence. I would suggest that the wood ramps be replaced with more permanent ramps, and that the handrails at both stairs and ramps be replaced with code conforming handrails. And then finally, I would recommend that the asphalt surfacing be replaced. Not necessarily in its entirety all courses of the asphalt, but at least have weed removal and top coat replaced. Those are my recommendations. And that concludes my comment.
Is there any other comments?
Yeah, this is Luigi with ABD Engineers. I just want to clarify the existing chain link fence. There is an existing chain link fence on, closer to the intersection of Eagle Street and 9th Street, on a retaining wall. We do have notation on our site plan that states that the retaining wall will be removed and replaced. So yeah, I just wanted to note that. And then we're good with top coating the asphalt, and then also any handrails and ramp will be replaced to meet the today's building code.
Thank you, Luigi. May I'm looking at, I'm trying to find the site plan. I just want to better understand the retaining wall will be replaced. Is the chain link fence built upon that retaining wall?
It is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's good. And so would you be amenable to removing all of the chain link fence from that property that is adjacent to the sidewalks?
I would say no. They want some, privacy for the tenants to utilize that green area and be, within the chain link fence. It provides security measures too for the tenants.
And what section of that would remain?
I would say all of it except for what I just explained on the existing retaining wall, because obviously that area needs to be redone. But the chain link fence, would be the one around the, we're closer to 10th Street and along the northern boundary line.
It appears in the photographs and yeah, it appears to be very rusted. And I would suggest that, I don't know if one can paint a galvanized chain link fence, but the condition of that chain link fence, and I will also add that there are plenty of mature weeds growing along that fence. Do not measure up to the quality of that existing church building, which is quite attractive. And so I would suggest that the fence, if it is to remain, shall be improved or replaced.
We would agree to that. Any repairs that are needed will be addressed.
So Dee Dee, can we attach those comments to any motion for approval?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Luigi. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
In terms of language for the motion, I would suggest a motion to approve the extension, renewal of the approval, subject to the applicant agreeing to make the changes discussed.
Andy, this is Aaron. Do we know when this project was previously approved? At what meeting this received approval?
I don't have the exact date with me, but this project was the subject of somewhat extensive litigation. So although it's a 2018 project, it's still within the window for an extension or reaffirmation of the approval due to both the amount of time it was in litigation as well as the COVID shutdown that we're recently gone through.
No disagreement there. The litigation, I believe, was ZBA related, not planning related.
Correct.
And I myself don't recall seeing this in planning, and I'm just curious if we have a date of when that was actually approved. I tried locating an approval letter just now, and I do not see an approval letter.
Earlier today, James had sent over to me the site plan. I'm going to pull that up now and see if I could possibly find it from the site plan he had sent over. Hold on. The site plan he had sent over, Aaron, doesn't seem to have the approval date on it. Yeah, there's no approval date. That's not helpful.
No.
No, I mean, I'm only going off of memory here, and when I looked at the site plan myself, I would have been on the commission in 2018. I myself don't recall seeing this proposal, which is why I asked if it truly is an extension or of an approval. It would have to have been approved.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm working on the presumption that the site plan James sent over was approved at some point prior to my tenure.
Then I suppose, would it be possible for the commission to act the way they were planning on acting with an added stipulation if this has been approved previously? In other words, if this has not been approved previously, then the commission should be allowed to do a more extensive review.
I agree. Any extension that the board would grant presupposes that there was a prior approval. If they grant an extension this evening with the stipulations that Luigi agreed to, and then we subsequently reconfirm there was approval, great. If for some reason we find out it wasn't originally approved, the extension wouldn't be valid because there would have been nothing to extend.
Okay, excellent. And just to clarify, Sarah, that was based on your question of what the previous stipulations were. I was going through the records looking to find that information and was unable to locate the minutes where this was approved. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so shall we make a motion?
This is Luigi Palesci again. You know, we heard Sarah's conditions here. I'm just wondering, you know, why can't we just go ahead and get this thing approved tonight, you know, whether or not it was an extension or not. I think, you know, we've submitted our application, and, you know, either way, shouldn't it be heard tonight? We agree to those conditions. It's a fairly simple project, just so that we don't have to come back, that's all. Is that possible?
Luigi, this is Sarah Wenger, and I will, I'm going to speak in general terms. If perchance there was an administrative inaccuracy and a thorough review of this proposal was not conducted and resulted in prior approval, it is certain that we, as the commission and the city staff, would want the opportunity to do a more comprehensive review. We are acting under the reasonable assumption that all of that business was conducted. And based on that, we'd have these additional stipulations. Is that a fair assessment, Dee Dee, Aaron, if you want to weigh in on what I just said?
Yes, Sarah, I believe that is correct. We're assuming that this has been previously approved. We're looking to grant an extension of that approval. If it was not previously approved, it would need to come in for approval.
Yeah, just to add, to kind of second what everyone's saying here, if it was advertised as an approval or extension, it's possible that members of the public, knowing the extension process, just did not attend tonight's meeting because they assumed that it was in fact an extension and not a traditional hearing on the project.
And I would also add, Sarah's absolutely correct. The level of analysis that would be given by the board for an application that has no underlying prior approval would be significantly more extensive than the level of analysis given for an extension request, which only involves any change in circumstances. So she's absolutely correct.
All right, so is there any further comment? Does a commissioner have a motion?
This is Sarah Wingard. I make a motion to approve the extension of a previous approval with the stipulations discussed previously in this meeting, which are in summary: improvement of or replacement of chain link fencing, resurfacing of asphalt parking, and replacement of handrails and ramp guardrails with fully code compliant rails.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second it, Barbara.
Barbara,
I believe I heard Barbara. Barbara, can you just say that a little bit louder, please, for the recording?
This is Barbara. I second the motion.
Thank you.
any discussion? Erin, if you could take the vote.
Suzanne Spellin.
Yeah.
Anthony Moen.
Yes.
Barbara Higbee.
Yes.
Sarah Wingert.
Yes.
Dee Dee Rudolph.
Yes.
5-0, the motion to approve extension has passed.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. So moving along, we're going to move to the second consent agenda item that we moved out of the agenda, out of the consent agenda. So PC 2020-24, change of use 515 First Street. I know that the applicant's here. If you could explain to us the proposed use, and we can see why there's a, it's not a single family home into a 2-family apartment.
Well, you got the plans there? Oh, good. And I hope you have the copy of the brochure that I had with it also. But it's the Capital District Women Veterans Program. We're a not-for-profit and a 501c tax exempt organization. The property at 515 First Street was my immigrant grandparents' home. They bought in 1920. And about 2 years ago, I donated the building to the business with the intention of creating a supportive community residence for women veterans in need. And so those are individual rooms. There are three single bed rooms, just rooms. And then there's one room that is larger and has 2 adult beds. There are 2 bathrooms, one on the first floor, full bath, and a 3/4 bath on the second floor. There would be a communal kitchen, communal dining room, communal living room. So the purpose is to be a supportive community residence. Is that what else you'd like to know? Tell me.
Could you tell us what is there now? What is there now versus?
It was always zoned or whatever as a 1-family. There is just the kitchen downstairs and the living room. The upstairs never had a kitchen. It wasn't 2 apartments. It was always a 1-family. And there are a couple of bedrooms that are too small to meet the 2020 standards of living space. And so that's why we have to renovate the property to make the bedrooms large enough. And so they fit the regulations for community housing, enough living space for each woman. But the structure is sound. It's had an architectural TAP has been involved from Troy. They're the ones that have done these architectural designs. I've had an engineer come in. It's structurally sound, and it was previously approved. This process was previously approved, but we ran into funding issues, as everybody, as I'm listing, everybody else seems to run into also. And I didn't realize that this approval was only good for a very limited amount of time, so it's expired. And I need to, we're ready to go now. I'm ready to fund the project, and we need to get approval from the planning board so that we can get a building permit and then hopefully get a certificate of occupancy at the end.
So when you say previously approved, by whom, I guess is my question.
Signed by Andrew Peterson, Planning Commission Coordinator. Got the form here. I don't know if you want to see it. City of Troy.
Could you just provide the date on that document?
June 19th, 2013. And then it's got a number. If you want it, it's different than that number you gave me tonight. It's got P, capital P, capital C, 2013-027.
If I can ask, on that document,
Yep.
what does it say it was approved for? Because I think we might have a terminology issue here of, it may be classified for city purposes as a 2-family apartment, but it's still getting you the approval that you want. So what was it called back then?
Right there, it says the site plan review of a proposal to occupy a single-family home as a community residential facility. Project location 515 First Street, and it's an R4 zone, so there's no zoning issue. And it just has, you know, my name, et cetera, and then it has approved.
And Aaron, so is the issue that because they're putting a kitchen on the second floor, it's now classified as a two-family?
It's not,
To be perfectly honest with you, Andy, I don't know. I see here that I believe I have a copy of that letter in front of me, and it says proposal to occupy single family as a community residential facility, which is allowed in the R4 zone. I don't see any stipulations on that. This was not listed as an extension. So the issue we were just discussing with the previous application about the notice, this was not noticed as an extension. So I think that the commission can act on this as an original approval if they chose to. I don't see any issues with the commission acting on this proposal this evening. In fact, I believe this is in line with what was previously approved.
And the reason I ask is because, not to the merits of the application, but the advertising of the notice, we had advertised it as conversion to a single-family home into a two-family apartment. So as long as whatever we approve meets that definition, we don't have to re-advertise and bring the applicant back. My only concern is making sure that the advertising is correct.
I suppose that's a question for the applicant then. Is this residential facility going to be occupied as a two-family residence?
No. No. It's going to be single rooms, going to be a community residence.
My suggestion, Dr. Rem, would be that the commission not act on this proposal this evening, that we add this to next month's consent agenda and simply advertise it as the conversion of a single-family home to a community residential facility, which isn't allowed use in the R4 zone. It would not require any additional documentation or anything like that. It's just, Andy, do you agree with that? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's the safer course of action. I'm sorry it's another month for you, Dr. Rem, but that gives us the ability to properly advertise and notice to the public that it's going to be a community residence. So if you do indeed receive the approval, it's been validly noticed and defensible if someone challenges it.
Okay, whatever you need to do.
Well, now, Andy, if the board wished to extend the previous approval, would that advertising also need to be required?
Yeah, I think so, because
okay.
The average resident reading our agenda for this evening and determining whether or not they want to attend the meeting and make a comment sees it as a conversion of a single fam to a two-fam, not a single fam to a community residence. Yeah. So it's not an accurate representation of what's being requested. Okay.
Is the commission then, ideally they would table it this evening?
Yes, yeah. And again, I apologize, it's got another month, but that's the proper way to do it, to get it approved as a community residence, which is what the applicant is seeking.
And so I would be able to tell that by just going on the website and getting the date of the next meeting and seeing that I'm on the agenda correctly and go on the Zoom meeting again for next month, that I'll be there.
Yes.
You, just to be clear, if you are on the consent agenda, you do not need to attend the meeting. Although, had you not attended the meeting this evening,
Right.
yeah, it wouldn't have been, yeah, it would have been, yeah, mistaken.
Okay, well, I'll attend anyway, so I can make sure that it's there and gets approved.
Aaron, this is Sarah Wenger. I would like to make a recommendation. I'm not going to make an assumption. How many beds are planned for this community residence?
How many beds?
Yes.
5.
I think I
5
would
adult
advise,
beds.
yeah, I would advise that you include that 5 beds in the description of your project, because I suspect if there were to be any resistance in the community, the 5-bed limitation will alleviate any concerns, as opposed to the speculation that it's an 18-bed community residence.
Right.
Okay?
So do I have to
It's
do
a
anything?
fact. I would just put that in your description.
So do I have to submit another description, or will that just automatically go on the agenda that way?
Dr. Rem, my office will reach out to you
Okay.
and coordinate this for next month.
Okay.
Description.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, without anything further, I'll ask if there is a motion to table this project tonight.
This is Suzanne. I move that we table the project until next month.
Is there a second?
This is Barb. I second.
Any discussion? Aaron, if you could take a vote.
Suzanne Spellin,
Yes.
Anthony Moen,
Yes.
Barbara Hickey,
Yes.
Sarah Wenger,
Yes.
Dee Dee Rudolph.
Yes.
The motion to table passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item tonight is this is right, PL 2020-27. This is 231 Hill Street. Aaron, if you could again kindly introduce this project to the board.
Dee Dee, Aaron, did we skip a project?
Oh, did we?
I think perhaps we did.
Oh, yep, sorry. Thank you. PL 2026 site plan review for 2377 Burdette Avenue. I apologize.
Yes, this is a project to add off-street parking for a residential use. If the board recalls here, let me, bear with me, I'm gonna see if I can pull up the site plan here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If the commissioners are familiar, this is the intersection of Hoosick and Burdette. And this parcel was previously developed as an auto sales lot. So this is the single family house that exists next to that lot. And the proposal this evening is to add some off-street parking, which can be seen here. In terms of the engineering review for this, There's a few concerns that we have with the dimensions of that lot. I'd just like to draw the commissioner's attention to this dimension down here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. There's 18 feet of access aisle behind these perpendicular spaces, and I don't believe that that's going to be sufficient. My recommendation would be that the commission hear this proposal, discuss any other issues that you may have, but ultimately I think that revised drawings are going to be necessary to address that deficiency.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or representative of the applicant here tonight?
Here, if you could hear me.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Ed, representing Eamon in this application. Hi, Aaron, I understood your comment. We did have an alternate driveway, and if you could see, we had a 24-foot design driveway there, but it was kind of right on to that power pole that existed there. That's why we went to the 18. The residence is there. They currently park in the street, and that's fine, but, you know, I understood when I was there last year, he rent several rooms, so the 8 to 10 residents we do have, we're proposing 12 on the plan that we were looking at this evening, but we did have an alternate site plan with a 24-foot drive with only 8 cars of on-site parking. That would be the impact change. I don't know if you'd be interested. I could email you that plan right now. It didn't seem like a very large application. I mean, he has some, he's trying to satisfy his tenants, keep them off the street. When he bought the property, both the garage and the home were already converted to apartments, so hence the need for the parking. So I don't know how you want to proceed other than tabling it and getting new plans, or I'd be happy to email you the plans with 8 cars of parking with a 24-foot wide two-way driveway instead of the 18-foot wide driveway. It didn't, if you recall, a couple of years ago when we all looked at the front corner lot, you know, Mr. Ali was instructed to put the white PVC fence with the planting, and we had told the city at the time that he had plans to purchase this next property. So this is kind of like a follow-up of that discussion, and I understand he plans to do the same again. Actually, he's looking to buy the next property south of this property. So the driveway seemed properly spaced because the property that exists to the south, the driveway has line of sight on the other side of that home far away. We didn't see a problem with the 18-foot of it, but if you're looking for a wider driveway, we could give that to you right now if you check your email. I don't know how you want to proceed. I didn't see a need to make Mr. Ali wait for, I know he got caught up in the COVID and waiting for you know, some review for several months, but it's really whatever you want to, however you want to proceed at this time. So in Aaron Vera's email, there's an alternate 8-car parking lot with a 24-foot wide driveway. Did you hear anything?
Yes, I can hear you. So I think, I don't think we want to be looking at a new plan tonight because we haven't had a chance to review it. I think that we should make comment on this one, knowing that it seems that you will need to resubmit and or answer some questions that the city has, and be on the next planning board or planning commission meeting. So I think, I don't want to speak for the other commissioners, but I don't think we should be looking at a new plan that was just emailed to Aaron at this time.
Okay, so if we could proceed with any further comments other than the driveway, you know, kind of give the applicant some intention of, you know, what the corrections would be in their entirety, that would be great.
Sure. So I would ask, is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this project tonight? No? Then I would ask, are there any commissioners that have any questions or comments regarding this proposal? I know I do.
This is Sarah Wingert, and I will not make any vehicular safety comments or stormwater control comments. I will simply react to the proposal in that it obliterates one of very few green spaces along Burdette Avenue. I might feel completely different if we were accessing from Hoosick. But I do question the complete, nearly complete removal of all plant growth from this property. That is not a quantitative comment, that is qualitative, but I do question whether all of the lawn and plantings and trees need to be removed from this property to satisfy augmented parking needs. And I will leave my comment at that and ask that the applicant respond in any way he or they see fit.
Well, I don't know. The owner is also on the line here, but from the point of view that he had requested and required a need for his tenancy there to succeed, I was asked to do off-street parking, and so that's the plan. To mean the comment on the driveway goes hand in hand with the number of parking. There's a direct correlation for access and getting around in there. The site has 3 long narrow driveway for parallel parking, but yes, the trees that were in that travel lane that is proposed, it does leave the site with the green space as advertised in the statistics. Green space of 18.51%.
This is Barbara Higbee. I just have a very basic question here. You've got 2 apartments in the building, in the big building, and then 1 in the garage. Is that correct?
Well, he don't speak to that, but I knew being so close to the college, it was at the time he was renting rooms. So he had, you know, he was counting, you know, counting heads or bed of he needed more than just for, you know, for more than 5. So that's why we were at 8 minimum. We had proposed 12. Given the back, there's a couple students back there. There easily could be 10 rentals in here. So we were hoping for the 12, but given the driveway condition being so close to the pole, we didn't feel the 18-foot was out of order, given the fact that a lot of the existing driveways are 8 feet for a residential basis along that whole corridor. And this very same property has working driveway at 8.5 feet. So the 18 feet, given the caution that goes along with pulling in and out and I know a lot of the students were not driving trucks, have smaller cars. It seemed appropriate with the 18-foot drive. But as I say, I gave you a response on the 24-foot driveway. We had anticipated that, but the trees are in the way of getting any vehicles into that back property off the street, honestly.
I have a question to follow up with Barbara's question. So could you explain to me because I assume there's 3 bedrooms on the first floor, 3 bedrooms on the second floor. And then how many bedrooms in the back, in the garage?
2.
2.
Yes.
So you said 10 rentals. So how is that working?
No, it's 8, but when I purchased the property, there was already tenant in there, and I believe there is. I didn't went into the building. I just bought it as is, and when they did the closing, I wasn't even I was on vacation, and they did the closing remotely, so I don't even have to be there. But when we checked it. They told me that there is a possibility for 4 bedroom in each floor, and existing right now there is a 3, but I don't know. I didn't went into the building because there is a tenant, and with the COVID-19, there is like a lot of regulations, so we just being like hold to this point. But
it seems like an enormous amount of parking for the use.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, if you drive past by Burdette, if you check the history, the traffic history and the accident, I heard from the people who live in this, they've been seeing that always there is an accident before when it used to be an existing address is 2379, which is the house used to be next to it before we demolish it and put the lot. And right now, actually, once we remove the house, it's been 0 accident, and it's been very clear view to the people going like up the hill on Hoosick. And it's still, I mean, having like off-street parking, it does help the tenants, and it's a big plus because I mean, students, RPI, each student come from out of town, they have their own vehicles. So if we don't just make it more busier and risky, we just want to put the parking off street. That's the whole purpose behind.
Well, we just request that you look at the number that is needed. This does seem to me to be a very large amount of parking.
Yeah, well, we can minimize the numbers. That's no problem. Whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I have another follow-up question, and it is regard to the safety. You're proposing 3 parking spots parallel. It looks like there's an existing driveway that serves 1 car, and is in pretty close proximity to the intersection of Hoosick Street. I think I'm looking at the drawing, it looks like it's about 60, the driveway is about 60 feet away from Hoosick Street. So I have concerns about 3 parallel parked cars in that location, how they would exit and the safety.
Yeah, those 3 exist. If he does nothing, those 3 exist. He bought the property with that gravel driveway. Now, that's a consist that those 3 cars be reverted to lawn or something, that's different.
Yeah, if you could take a look at that, because the survey that you submitted doesn't just shows the driveway going to half the building. So I'm looking at the survey. I can't see what the scale is on the, but it does not look like that 3 cars could park there, that it's paved right now as a driveway for 3 cars.
I mean, we can minimize it to 1, but it is existing. So I mean, if we minimize the 3 into 1 and keep 8 in the other side.
Yeah, I just have a concern about 3 feet to leave. You're that close to the intersection. It just seems like a concern.
Well, if
Safety concern.
that driveway exists, are you recommending a closure of that driveway in order to get the other one?
No, I'm suggesting that I don't think that you can fit 3 cars on that existing driveway.
Yeah, that's fine. We can minimize it to 1.
And then the other question I have is, I see that there's a gate separating the 2 properties. So I'm curious as to what the purpose of that gate is.
Well, the gate was existing and we never used it, and still it is not used. But before we purchased the building, the previous owner, we asked him that we're gonna do the PVC privacy fence, and there was existing gate before between the 2 buildings, and we kept everything the same. And the previous owner, he wants the gate to be there. I don't know why, but we kept whatever they want up to date, but we kept it the same thing. We never used it and never been used.
So then why do you need to run the asphalt to the gate? I guess then is my question. See where it says 17 feet, 1 inches and 15 feet? Why is that asphalt needed?
Well, it's better than it used to be where it is right now.
Actually, if we're redoing the site plan, I want to have a productive meeting. If Damon is offering reducing his existing parallel parking to 1, we create a pathway for residents to park at the new lot and walk into there is an area, the footpath coming down the steps and so forth. So we can narrow that up to a pathway. An issue that I need some clarification on before we part this evening is a ruling on this driveway and how many cars. I just gave Aaron a sketch site plan showing 20, we can give him the 24-foot wide. It's right up to that power pole at the curb. But it reduces the car parking from perpendicular 7 to parallel parking of 3. And I don't know if Damon has 1, 3, 4 in the 2. He's talking 6 cars. I don't know if that helps you.
I mean, to me, anything helps better than parking. It's much safer for the tenant than having 6 vehicles on the road, minimum, you know?
May I make a suggestion,
Yes.
Chairwoman?
Yes, please.
Our code requires that curb cuts be a minimum of 20 feet. So the commission could request that the existing curb cut be eliminated in favor of this new curb cut. I agree with Dee, I believe it was your comment that there's not enough room there for 3 parallel parking stalls currently. According to the survey, if we look at the survey here, this building dimension is 18 feet 9. This is perhaps another 10 feet. That's 2 cars at best behind the front line of the building. It appears, in general, we would like to see the site plan overlaid on top of the survey if that's possible. I know that this is a hand-drawn survey, but it should still be possible to include so we can actually see what you're proposing on top of the survey.
On that one, that does show, we overlaid the site plan on the air photo.
It might be hard to see then. Is that what it is? You're saying it's here?
Yeah, our site plan is overlaid directly on the air photo.
Yeah, no, I would prefer the site plan be overlaid on top of the survey that was provided. See, I see a label here, patio, MH manhole. When I go to your site plan, I don't see that here. But moving past that, this curb cut is existing, but is no longer is substandard. So the commission could require that curb cut be closed in order to allow for this new curb cut. In terms of 18 feet versus 24 feet, the curb cut itself has to be 20 feet minimum. That's by code. The drive aisle itself is not in our code. We do dictate 9 by 18 parking stalls. We do not dictate the size of the drive aisle itself. 18 feet, I believe, is just too small. I understand a subcompact could get in and out of those spaces, no problem. And that maybe perhaps students aren't driving full-size trucks. But I would like to see 22 feet for perpendicular parking. However, you could, given the layout you have here, you could propose angled parking here. Vehicles would then back out, and then they would have to do, some sort of K-turn at the end here to not back out onto Burdette. But angled parking could possibly work there. Either way, we're not going to go through a complete site design charrette right now, but those are just some of my comments.
Well, thanks for those comments. So I'd like to leave this evening with some understanding based on everything I've heard. The 3 existing parking of the existing driveway, that's gone. He loses 3, so out of 12, he's netting 9. And with the angled, I don't think we're going to really, we have a shot at getting up to 7. I don't know. That's why the sketch I just had, you had 3 parallels. So I'm looking at 6 cars for a lot of money to build in a parking lot. I don't know if there's a real application here. But I don't mind doing an exercise of a 20-foot driveway and angled parking and reducing pavements and adding some street trees or on the property or landscaping. But thanks for your comments, and we'll have to see if we can work something out. I think the big hardship to deliver all that for this tech residence in there. So
Aaron, they should also be submitting their stormwater calculations to the city as well during this process, right?
I would have to coordinate with DPU on that. We typically don't, there's no requirement for stormwater when you're under an acre typically. However, the city has a lot of combined sewers, and so there can't be any increase to the combined sewer. I would suspect that this proposal will demonstrate that the dry well here is adequately sized and that there's no increase in stormwater runoff. Ed, that's what you're proposing, correct?
As for the 0.217 acres, any drainage that goes there stays in that right in the vicinity of the dry well. No stormwater just leaves this property currently. It all is it just all goes to that one low area currently. So we did some perks. It's pretty good. He had a dry well proposed on the corner site. That's working fine. There's no tie into the city system. The beauty of this property, his building he bought, it all has services. We're basically just prepping the lot, removing the vegetation to accommodate for whatever maneuvering we needed. But the dry well did seem to work in there and address the surface flows there for the site. I mean, it's 0.2 acres. But I think the trick is coming up with a layout that satisfies the board's concern, and we could bring that green space up with and revisit the planting. See what he has. I don't know. I'd like to know
I mean, if you didn't want to maintain that pavement to the adjoining lot, you could gain an extra 2 perpendicular spaces there. And then if you converted the 7 perpendicular to angled, you might lose 2. So you have 5, you'd end up with 9 as opposed to the 12 that you're showing.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. Let's see if we could shoot for that if you're willing to work with the applicant.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, this is a private parking lot. The parking is not required. I don't believe it's required in this zone. So the parking itself, it does have to conform to our standard sizes, but yeah, there should be, I think, a little bit of leeway in terms of the dimensions and things like that, just because it's not required. It's at your expense. But
so, Aaron, the 9 by 22 perpendicular, I think that won't work on this. But if we could look at we have diagonal parking standards. I don't mind emailing you a couple of site plans just to get your thumbs up or thumbs down, or if there's some benefit, because I don't really want to go and do a soup to nuts submission again and then find out it's just not, that much light. So if you don't mind, I'd like to work up some sketches and forward them to just for the optimum layout.
Certainly, I'll take a look at that.
This is Barb. I'm a little frustrated that this is taking so long to give what is some fairly basic feedback. I think Sarah's comment was too much pavement. My comment is, that I'm just giving now, is too many parking spaces. You don't need 12 parking spaces for 12 is a lot of units for this site in any event, but I'm not worried about that. So I think I would like to propose that we table it for tonight, and that they come back with something that is less paving. It's probably going to be less parking spaces. 12 was it's a crazy number, and so I move that we table this.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Any discussion? Aaron, could you take a vote?
Yes, just to clarify, Anthony, that was you seconding?
Yes, that was me.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, yes, that was me.
Okay. Suzanne Spellin?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Dee Dee?
Yes.
Motion table passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our last case for the evening is PL 2020-27 Site Plan Review, 231 Hill Street. Aaron, could you give the board a brief introduction?
Yes, I can. Bear with me a moment. I'm trying to pull up the site plan. Okay, so this proposal is to occupy an existing structure. This structure had been vacant for some time and is going to be occupied with a light industrial use, which is conforming to the existing zone. And the proposal in front of the board this evening, the site plan is not, this is not a final rendition of the current proposal as I understand it. I'll let the applicant shed a little bit more light on that. I guess the only other thing to note is that some work did take place on this site and a stop work order was issued recently, and the applicant is trying to remedy that situation by obtaining all of the approvals that are required at this stage. I think I'll let the applicant go ahead and present the project, and then if the commissioners have any additional questions for me, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Tate. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I had bought this building from the city with the intention of putting RPI startups in it, specifically my own company called Vara Safety. The timing was we were getting kicked out of our building in Clifton Park. We needed to move. We had a drop dead date and we couldn't move in when I bought it by about a month. So we moved back to Troy and have the opportunity to either outsource our manufacturing overseas or to put it into Troy, into this building, which was the original intent. Can I share my screen with you and show you what it looked like and what it looks like now? Is that relevant? Okay.
I believe, yeah, I mean, I believe you should just be able to share it. If you can't, let me know.
Oh, it says host disabled attendee sharing. So if you can enable me.
Not on purpose. Hang on.
Okay. Can I try again? Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is what it looked like when I bought it. It had been unoccupied for 20 years. I couldn't get inside of it, really didn't know what it was going to look like, but this is what it looked like. This is my car parked in front of it. So when I bought it over a year, maybe a year and a half ago, there's my car parked. The entire thing looked like it, and this is what it looked like after I started taking the shrubbery and overgrowth down. I have, in the meantime, made it presentable through the use of paint. And my team has come, and this is my team. They painted the whole outside. And this is the team that wants to occupy it. So currently, though, we would like to have 4 engineers there. It'll be everyone else is remote right now due to COVID, and we figured out that we really don't need to occupy space for most of our marketing team and admin. But what's going to happen down there is that's where our new products are designed, and that's where our new product, the Reach 2, will be assembled here in the United States. So the timing on that is about a month from now. Here, I'll unshare my screen if I can figure that out. Okay. So we are an RPI startup. We've had a rough time with COVID, and our sales are starting to pick up, so we're going to make it through it. But Hill Street is going to be key to it.
I'll ask if there's anyone here from the public tonight that would like to make a comment on this proposal. No? How about the commissioners? Anyone have any questions or comments regarding this plan?
Dee Dee, this is Sarah. All I would say is that it's a wonderful improvement on a collection of weed trees. The site plan itself is really just adding the 6 parking spaces and making really minor modifications to the property right at the street edge, correct?
Correct.
No other notable modifications?
We are not going to have signage. The signage in the team picture I showed you is digitally added. So we will not, there's going to be no retail business in here. It's strictly in-house development of new products and assembly of products that we'll be shipping out. So this product is actually, might be one of the most technologically advanced biometric products in existence right now. The next product that'll be coming out in 30 days, maybe 5 weeks. It's pretty cool. But no, we're not making any alterations. And you know, just on a side note, is we've met a lot of the kids that live around there, and our team is very young. Most of them are only a couple of years out of college. And once a month, we're going to hold some type of day for children around there where the RPI kids, we've already done it, is that RPI kids have met with the kids in the street. We put up just a little portable basketball hoop so they can play basketball. Our intent is to, you know, do some good with this.
This is Aaron. So just to clarify, the site plan that the commissioners are looking at now calls for paving of the parking area. Is that the intent?
Getting quotes for paving makes it financially unfeasible right now. When we cleared the trees, it was crusher run. So it's just unfeasible right now. There's no money to do it because it's very expensive. And since there's only a couple of cars usually there at any given time, no more than 4, it looks much better if we park on the crusher run, but we can park in the street if that's what the commission determines.
Okay, so
But we would love to park on the crusher run because it just makes it, you know, it doesn't clog up the street. It looks much nicer.
All right, so just to elaborate for the commissioners, that the installation of the crusher run is one of the reasons the stop work order was issued. And so just to clarify, the parking that's shown on this plan does not currently exist, nor is the intent to have it exist?
In the near term.
So what is the intent? Because unfortunately, I'm looking at images of weeds that have grown over old dirt and gravel. And what it sounds like is you have new crusher run where asphalt is indicated on the plan.
Correct.
That work is done.
Correct.
And so, not that the weeds were attractive, but it is no longer viably green space. It can only be gravel that is parked on or gravel that is not parked on.
It was, the intent was to park on it, but it was gravel. It was gravel before I installed the gravel. There was already gravel there. I just, I freshened it up. So I don't know if that makes it, I don't know if that makes a difference, but it was already there. There was no concrete or anything there, and it wasn't green space. It was road, like crusher run or whatever was left of it.
And at one point it was weeds. So Aaron, is there a requirement for off-street parking?
There is. So no, there is not a requirement for off-street parking. So the city's position at this point would be either pave those areas the way they are shown or something similar to what is shown on the plan, or we would recommend to the commission that gravel be removed as it serves no purpose.
I'd be able to
however,
apply for a variance for the gravel.
However, the other there is another issue with the gravel, which is if can draw the commissioner's attention to the area to the west of the building. There's some existing gravel, well, it's labeled existing on here. I don't believe it was there prior to the work that was done, but there's an overhead door on that side of the building, and this gravel area is used to access that overhead door, and that gravel was installed or rehabilitated, and it's not on the subject parcel. That's not on this property.
I have a letter from this gentleman that authorized this. So we are trying to legally redraw our lot lines. We're looking for someone to do that right now, but it was done with his authorization. And I have a letter which I can send to you. And he has no complaints and he has not complained.
So are you trying to redraw the lot lines to include that gravel driveway?
We believe we can't, both of the surveys or whatever, I think we only have tax maps. I tried to hire whatever you call the people who do this, the surveyors, and he couldn't do it because he couldn't find an old survey. But our intent between me and the neighbor, he owns to the right and left, I don't know if that's north or south or whatever. He owns to the right and left of my building, and our intent is to move the line on the right-hand side of this map closer to my building to give him more access to his property. And then everything on the left-hand side of that line, our intent is to be mine. We are just, I've already emailed 2 surveyors who have turned the job down. So it's a matter of finding somebody to help us get it done legally. But we put all of this in writing and both signed it between the 2 of us.
There is one other item that was identified that's site-related that we've confirmed is between code enforcement and engineering is not compliant, and that is the lack of an accessibility ramp to the entrance. If the commissioners can see, there's a label on the site plan right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Those are 2 steps up to a concrete pad at the entryway. And code enforcement will require a ramp be installed prior to issuing a CO.
This building has been like this for as long as it's been in existence. If one, we have no, we're trying to do everything right. I've been trying to get through this process for 1.5 years, which I've showed Aaron the emails, and there is going to be no commercial. I mean, you could see my team photo. We obviously don't discriminate. We have, there's people of every walk of life in my team. And if there was a team member that needed it, but we are literally at the point of I'm gonna fire everybody or try to make a go of it. Our sales are starting to pick up. We might not have, but it's literally that dire right now. And installing a ramp that is 21 feet long for somebody, we're doing no retail. We're doing no virtual, we're doing no in-person meetings. It's literally my team, and the only person I'm gonna hire is an assembler right now. But this building has been like this forever.
This is Sarah, and we understand what you're saying, but this is equal application of the city's requirements.
So at what point does, I mean, I go down, I don't see 21 feet long ramps all over Troy.
Because people aren't making changes to
I
their
didn't make
building.
changes to the building. So what changes have I made? Besides freshening up the gravel, I've made no changes. We put paint on it. We're painting the inside. We're making no changes. The building literally looks like it did when I uncovered.
Aaron, was this a change of use? Sorry to put you on the spot.
It was a change. It was empty. For
Yes,
20
it's
years.
I mean, you could classify it as a change of use. It's essentially a brand new CO, which that process subjects this building to compliance with code.
Is there any requirement that that handicapped accessible entrance be constructed out of cast in place concrete?
Absolutely not. It can be a temporary ramp. It can be a timber ramp. It can be anything that complies with ADA.
So theoretically, thinking way outside the box, one trip to Home Depot and a couple hours of raking gravel out of the lot could satisfy the requirements of the city of Troy.
Not entirely. The property ownership issue is something that a letter from a resident, I don't believe, will satisfy.
But property ownership, I own the property that I'm on. I don't understand what property ownership you're talking about. I own the property that I'm on. I bought it from Troy.
No, I believe Aaron's talking about the property to the west of your property that you use for access to the garage. Could you?
So Troy, no, who's complained about it? I'm going to use it once every 6 months, and I've got the owner's permission, and he's not complaining.
You would need to have an easement or a legal agreement to.
We're working on that.
Yeah. Do you use that garage? Do you use that garage?
That's going to be our raw material storage. So we will get a shipment in once every 6 months, and that's it.
Okay, and I know you have an overhead door on the opposite side.
Yes, that one will get used.
Yeah, okay. Is that more frequently?
That will be used on a Monday through Friday basis, yes.
Again, the requirement to have loading areas paved exists. So any areas that are used for loading, unloading, or parking by code are required to be paved.
Okay, well, we'll just have, we won't use that. We won't use that, and we will walk the product through the front door and have FedEx park in front of the front door. And we won't use that door.
So Aaron, a question I have, is there any approvals that would be needed, a variance for the off-street parking?
In terms of what?
So if we don't want to have the on-site parking, is there enough space?
Yes, yeah, you can see here that the parking requirement is 3 per 1,000, which I believe the consultant here has miscalculated. That would actually be 7 spaces, not 6. You'd round up to 7. So 7 off-street parking spaces are required for this use. The parking that's shown here, even if constructed, would not comply because the off-street parking is not supposed to use city right-of-way for maneuvering, which clearly these 3 spaces would be backing in and out of the street, right? They don't have the ability to maneuver without using the right-of-way. Variances could be obtained for the parking. The loading could take place at the front of the building, and the overhead doors could not be used if that was not going to be, if the rights to that property, the easement, was not going to be granted.
So, I don't know if it matters, but this is a dead-end street with just a couple of houses on it. And they back into the street coming out of their driveways. I watch it.
Well, I think the issue is if you had off-street parking, that would not become an issue anymore, but you would still need the handicap ramp for access to the building entrance.
But I thought that triggered when changes were made that was my understanding by code, is when changes were made to the building, that was what triggered it. A new CO I don't believe triggers it per code. Is that true?
Yes, it does.
I just had a question. Is there another entrance to the building on the side, on the right-hand side of the piece of paper here, off that parking spaces? Is there another entrance that could be some kind of a cobbled up handicapped access?
Actually, there is a ground level door where the larger building and the smaller building meet.
So there's already
that could be a handicap. That could be. It's a very wide door. It's about 1 inch up to it, and it brings you right into the building. The problem is there might not. It's very wide doors. I don't know if it would be maneuverable enough for a wheelchair, but it might be. It's a super wide door into the building. It's only about 1 inch. That would be easy to construct a ramp into. That's a very good idea. And then the door into the building also is very big. So that's a good idea. I will look into that.
So it appears that the only remaining issue that is unresolved is the parking. So Aaron, Dee Dee, if the city requires off-street parking, there is no way to achieve that on this property in conformance with the city's requirements, dimensional and safety requirements. So am I correct in that a variance must be acquired to permit no off-street parking?
You can't see it on here, but there's a whole point that would allow 7 cars. It's a very big empty street.
I know,
Sarah, I think there's a bigger issue, or at least another issue in addition to the off-street parking. I don't disagree with you that this certainly has the potential for a variance, but I do believe that the off-street loading and the property access is an issue that the commission should address in a way that is transferable with the property.
Which I've already tried 2 surveyors, and the other owner and I are working on it. And I've got a letter in hand that allows right now. And, I guess, does Troy really go around making neighbors, if a neighbor drives on my property? But like I said, I am working on it. I've got a letter in hand from him saying we're working on it, and here's our intent with redrawing the lot line. And I've showed you, Aaron, emails where I am working on getting the lot line, trying to find somebody. I asked you if you had suggestions on who could help me do this. So I am working on it, but in the meantime, I need to get my team working here. I mean, if we leave here and I go to Watervliet, it's going to be a big loss for the city of Troy. We've got a lot of press going on this project. I've got one of the most technologically advanced teams in a startup around here. We need your help.
Okay, well, I don't think we can approve the application as it's presented, because it's not what you're proposing to do.
Okay, I agree.
I would recommend that, that this be tabled tonight and that you work with Aaron and the city to, because there's different routes depending on which way you're gonna go. Try to get that surveyor on board to get that either an easement or acquisition of that land to the west.
I will
Yeah, just
not.
Yep.
I will tell you that I won't use it.
Right. And then provide a proposed, where a proposed parking plan, and if be the removal of the gravel if it's not on site. And the
Okay,
reestablishment.
so just so I'm clear, my team can't work for another month. Is that what we're saying here? I've got a stop work order. If that stop work order does not come off, I need to move my team somewhere else. Literally.
Just to be perfectly clear, the stop work order is not relating to occupying the building. You're not allowed to occupy the building as you don't have a CO.
So
The
how do
stop
I?
work order
how do
means
I
not
get
to do work on the building until you get a building permit. So
trying
the
to
stop
get a
work,
building permit for literally a year and a half. Literally, I've started this process 4 different times. I've been there 4 different times. I'm at a loss. The last time, 3 March, when we decided to do this, I just filled out everything and did it 3 different ways. And Aaron's the first one that's called me back, and I think he's only been here a month. It's crazy. I've been trying to do this right for a year and a half.
So have you applied for a building permit?
6 times, 6 times. Aaron's seen 3 of the emails.
the process, Chairwoman, is that
It gets denied,
any new proposal applies for a building permit, and then that permit is, we use the word internally denied, although it shouldn't be thought of as much of a denial as a referral to planning for site plan review. And so, I can't speak to the cause of any delays on this, but at this point, this application will ultimately need a variance for parking. If parking is not going to be provided, it's in a B4 zone, so I believe it's 7 spaces required off street. I think, in my opinion, that there's a good case for that variance, and I also think that there's some potential to resolve some of the property ownership issues. If that is removal of overhead doors so that they can't be accessed, then that's a perfectly reasonable way to handle it without a lot line adjustment. Obviously, if a lot line adjustment is required or an easement is going to be proposed, there would need to be a site plan and a survey that illustrates that in some fashion. I think that's where we're at in terms of this in terms of this proposal.
So I've already said I'm not going to use either overhead door.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments about this proposal?
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm here.
Hello? Hi, my name is Paul. I'm a resident of the city. I grew up not too far from there. And I'm going to tell you guys something right now. That thing has been an eyesore for all of my lifetime, okay? And anybody who's willing to do anything there to clean that site up and make it look anything better than what the hell it is right now, I'm all for it. And then let's add on top of this, someone's willing to come in here with RPI engineers graduate kids make a product and do it in the city of Troy, and you guys are firing everything you got at this to make it go wrong? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. That's all I have to say. I appreciate your time.
Paul, could I get your full name and address for the record?
Absolutely. Paul Donnelly, 240 First Street, Troy, New York, 12180.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask the commissioners, is there a motion tonight?
This is Suzanne. I just wanted to say that, Christine, I feel for you. I'm been there in a lot of ways, and I don't think we're trying to mess you up just for the sake of being bureaucratic pen pushers. I think that, I mean, and I could be wrong, I haven't been a commissioner that long, and I'm not an architect or an engineer, but it seems to me that if you can get a new plan out that eliminates the doors on the side, proposes a ramp on the side of the wood frame garage, and that would give you a long way towards getting this done, and also you know, applying for a variance so that you don't have to have parking. I think that would go a long way to getting it done, and we could all be very happy to approve this. I want to approve it, and I'm really sorry that we can't approve it tonight.
You know,
I
I had
that.
no intention of getting.
If I may I speak again?
I cannot get rid of the overhead doors. I am not using, I've already said I'm not going to use them. I've already got permission. The only reason Aaron knows about this is because he tried to get this building and I won it from him. I mean, like, it's kind of, nobody else, even Troy didn't know about this.
Okay, thank you. I think we've heard everything on this project. I would like to, do any of the commissioners have a?
I'm sorry, may I interject one more time, please?
Yes, please.
This is a citizen, resident, okay? I gotta tell you this, in no uncertain circumstance, if we cannot at least give this woman a temporary CO, give her 30 days or 60 days or until the next meeting. Don't shut her business down. That would be absolutely awful. So that's my statement, and I'm done, and I apologize for interrupting. Have a good evening, all.
All right, thank you. So is there a motion?
What would we be moving to do?
I would think we want to table this application pending further submission to the planning department for Aaron's review. We're looking at also, again, the items are a variance for off-street parking, the removal of the gravel, and the installation of the handicapped access ramp. As far as the garage goes, how that gets sealed or removed or locked so that it is not in use or able to be in use until a future date when that land transfer lot line adjustment occurs.
I don't understand. Nobody's complaining that I'm using it. I don't understand what, I just said I'm not going to use it, and I'm not going to shut those doors down. That's a fire exit. There's one thing there. There's steel doors to the other outside door. I don't want my people burning it up. Like if I lock that door, you guys will come ding me as a fire hazard because there's no other exits. Is there any way someone can make a motion for a temporary CO and we figure it out? Because
this board does not have the authority to issue temporary COs or certificates of occupancy. We're here to hear the site plan review of this case. So I'll make the motion that this application tonight be tabled pending submission to the planning department of the items that we have discussed. And is there a second?
Sarah, I would
second.
Sarah is seconding. Aaron, could you take a vote? Oh, I will.
Oh, I'm sorry, Suzanne Spellin,
Yes.
Sarah Wenger,
Yes.
Barbara Higbee,
Yes.
Anthony Moen,
Yes.
Dee Dee Rudolph.
Yes.
The motion to table has passed 5-0.
All right, our final motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I?
Actually, I think, do we have anyone on the line for 523 Fifth Avenue? Is there anyone on the line for 523 Fifth Avenue? Okay, I just wanted to check, Dee Dee. I just wanted to make sure no one was waiting here for 2.5 hours.
That was
for
the application. That application wasn't received.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we did not
No.
receive a site plan, but just in case anyone was here for it, I wanted to.
Right. No, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I second. This is Anthony.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
How'd we do a time? 8:17. All right.